Salva, in the silent shadows of his harem, unable to bear the burden of humiliation, is succumbing to self-deception. Those who surrounded him with praise as a great warrior who had never tasted defeat, his fearful allies and friends among other state leaders, now seem to taunt him in his ears as incapable, as an impotent man who cannot protect his future wife. The once spirited behavior of his has now wilted with the pain of disgrace. The wounds inflicted on Salva's body during the Swayamvar battle are nothing compared to the wounds inflicted on his spirit, which has devastated him. For 2 weeks, he has been thrashing in the darkness of his pain, rejecting the comfort of healing hands, as the walls of the fortress echoed with his cries of agony. Forsaking sleep and food, he ruminates on the insult he endured, lashing out in fury at his relatives who come to console, at the servants who bring food, and at the doctors attempting to treat him, acting as if he has lost his senses. With a heart filled with anticipation, Amba, overjoyed with the news that Bhishma had released her, ran directly to Salva, crossing her kingdom to share this joyous news with him first, explaining that all obstacles to their love were now removed. Salva, who was diminished by the pain of the humiliations of his defeat, felt unworthy to face Amba. He believed that she would only remember him as the man who could not defeat Bhishma, viewing him merely as a symbol of his incapacity. In this state of isolation, he could only see Amba as another reminder of his ineptitude, unable to reignite any former love he had for her. Amba was stunned and astonished when Salva told her that he could not accept her as his wife because he had lost to Bhishma, and therefore all rights over her belonged to him. He explained that he could not marry a woman who had been claimed and then abandoned by another man. Amba found Salva's words completely contradictory to the Salva she thought loved her dearly. Amba, who had never imagined that Salva would reject her even in her dreams, was at a loss for immediate action. After explaining how Bhishma had immediately understood their love and released her without any objections, hearing Bhishma's name repeatedly from Amba made his claim that he couldn't believe Bhishma would release her as a virgin. With those words, Amba's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces, and she crumbled with grief, losing the strength to persuade Salva again. In a state of despair, she took one last look at Salva and then turned and walked away. Amba, who had rejected the proposal of becoming the queen of the most powerful kingdom in the world from Satyavati with confidence in her love for Salva, now understood the harsh realities of the world when Salva declared her tarnished and unworthy. Despite knowing that her parents would accept her, the thought that they would be subject to societal disdain deeply troubled her heart. Even in her intense pain, Amba resolved not to be broken and decided to rewrite her own destiny. Convinced that Bhishma's merciless actions were the root cause of her plight, she confronted him, expressing her suffering and demanding justice, asserting that it was his responsibility to rectify the injustice done to her. With a heart filled with emotions, Amba implored Bhishma to marry her, refusing to remain a victim due to his actions and asking him to restore her honor and dignity. She argued that she had every right to demand him as her husband to compensate for the life ruined by him. With deep sympathy for Amba's plight, Bhishma respectfully declined her request to marry her, reminding her of his vow of celibacy, which he could not break even for her. Moreover, he expressed his view that a woman who harbors feelings for another man is like a deadly poison and cannot be trusted. And therefore, he could not even consider her as a wife for his brother Vichitravirya. Despite feeling pained, he explained that this was the right action under the circumstances. Amba, who had hoped that Bhishma, called a paragon of virtue, would deliver justice, was enraged by his unexpected response. Her heart was like a volcano of fury, bursting with anger. She warned that he would pay a fitting price for his actions if he rejected her marriage proposal. She declared that a woman filled with anger is far more dangerous than one who is in love with another man. In response, Bhishma reiterated his commitment to his vow and stated that his actions were entirely righteous, ready to face any consequences. Unmoved by his calm demeanor, Amba vowed that she would only find peace when she was the cause of his death, and left the place in a burst of fury. Amba, embarking on a journey without a destination, burdened by the unpredictable twists of her life crafted by the creator god Brahma, walked for hours, overcoming countless obstacles. By the end of the day, exhausted and unable to walk further, she collapsed to her knees and nearly lost consciousness, until she spotted an ashram in the distance. Using the last bit of her strength, she reached the ashram and collapsed. As Amba regained consciousness, she stepped outside and was astonished by the serene environment and natural beauty of the ashram. There, she saw an old sage named Satyavati teaching his disciples about detachment. Drawn to his teachings, she decided to follow the path of a renunciate and shared her traumatic life story with him. At that moment, her grandfather, the royal sage Hathravahana, arrived at the ashram and, after learning about Amba's situation, told her that the only person on earth who could challenge the great warrior like Bhishma and secure justice for Amba was his guru, Lord Parashurama himself. He informed her that Parashurama would be visiting the ashram in 2 days and advised her to seek his help. Hearing Parashurama's name reignited Amba's hope, and she was filled with joy, believing that this was the beginning of the end for Bhishma. Of the supreme god Vishnu himself, Parashurama, the fearsome warrior who circled the earth 21 times and vanquished the corrupt kings, including the 1,000-armed Karthavya Arjuna. Even though Amba eagerly awaited for him, when he finally appeared, Amba was left speechless. Her astonishment and fear intensified by his imposing presence and fierce, matted and intimidating physical appearance. Alongside the overwhelming awe, Amba also felt immense joy, for she believed that he was the only person who could administer justice for her plight. As Hathravahana introduced her to Parashurama and explained her situation, Amba expressed her sorrow and articulated her pain. She implored Parashurama to seek justice by ending the life of Bhishma, the cause of her ruined life. Parashurama, understanding the profound sorrow of Amba and sympathizing with her plight, told her that he could never question Bhishma's commitment to Dharma. However, he believed that in this particular situation, it was only righteous for Bhishma to marry Amba. As his guru, Parashurama declared that he would command Bhishma to marry her, and if Bhishma refused, he promised Amba that he would slay him. Comforted by Parashurama's words, Amba felt relieved knowing that her struggle for justice would finally be resolved. Parashurama announced that they would depart for Hastinapura the next day to settle the matter.